the whole China thing was an unexpected source of demand beginning in the late 90s. These demand pulls are never well predicted. Where could you see demand like that today that no one is currently predicting? Where can the next demand come from?
So that's a really good question. And to Bill's point, in the late 1990s, some of you guys may remember that the Asian tigers were booming, and GDP growth was really strong, and they were 40% of global oil demand growth. And that's part of the reason that oil prices were so strong during the period. Of course, they overdid it, and they had problems in the real estate and banking sectors, and we had a complete collapse in those economies. I think they declined by 32% in 1 year. But today the situation is very different. When we think about the oil market, the last 10 years, U.S. oil production accommodated 100% of global oil demand growth, which was about 10 million barrels per day. And you may say, well, no big deal, we'll just do that again during the next year. But I think when John Chrisman comes up, who's an excellent CEO at APA, he'll probably talk about how difficult it is in North America. So for the next 10 years, the way to think about it is, North America, our demand may grow by 10 million barrels per day, but it's going to be really all around the world. The supply growth is going to have to come from somewhere else besides North America, because shale, I think, is probably in about the 7th inning. We may have growth this year, we may not. And the implication there is that if global oil demand growth is 10 million barrels per day over the next decade, and we're having to source supply from other countries, it's going to change the geopolitical dynamics, meaning if the incremental oil supply that we have to accommodate demand during the next decade comes from Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, you name it, it's going to raise the risk profile a little bit. So that's the key point on demand and supply during the next decade. I still think that oil will be around $80 to $85 per barrel when you pull everything together. But the demand growth is really going to be from around the world, the less developed countries, the Middle East, Asia, China less so, really kind of the normal cast of characters.